Welcome in episode number 72. We are back covering the conferences, counting down the weekends until college football. We're going to talk about the Big Ten. We're going to cover the top half alphabetically and then the bottom half after that. Once again, joining me is friend and co-host Zach Huffman here with me. How are we doing today, Zach?
Doing good. We're doing good. Once again, still eagerly awaiting CFB 25. Literally all I can think about.
Yeah, we're almost there. I can taste it. Make sure you tune into our back and forth online dynasty series. We'll be giving you all that content. More to come on that front. But it'll be a good time. That's for sure. So let's dive into this, right, Zach? Give me just kind of your thoughts on the Big Ten heading into this season. A lot of talk, obviously, about the heavy hitters the conference has. But overall, where do you put this conference in the grand scheme of the college football landscape?
This season, I think they have an argument to be the best conference. Just top to bottom, they have a ton of teams. And it's hard not to have them up there. But obviously, Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan, Washington, USC. I mean, all these teams are joining. Penn State, and then, you have the SEC. So I would probably say the SEC is still the best conference, but I think that the Big Ten is close.
Yeah, definitely a lot to cover with this one. But this is going to be a very somber episode as we are covering kind of the little people of the Big Ten. There's a couple heavy hitters here, but not a lot. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Illinois, 5.5 win total for the Illini is what we're looking at here on CBS. So we'll be using for all of our win totals throughout the rest of the series here on the podcast. If you look at the sports books here, Zach, they've got this Illinois team kind of right spot on at 5.5 as well, all across the board here. And CBS has them at the under here with, I think, just 5 wins. Where do you put the Illini here? I don't really know much about them, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I don't know much about them either, but I'd probably have them at 4 wins. I don't think they're going to be Minnesota. I know a little bit about Minnesota, and I know that they're probably a little bit more talented. So I'm going to put them at 4 and 8.
Yeah, I mean,
that's as much as I can really say about Illinois. They're obviously losing to Oregon. They're obviously losing to Michigan. They're obviously losing to Penn State. They're obviously losing to Kansas. They're not beating Nebraska. I feel like those are all definite losses. So ceiling for this team, probably 6.
Yeah, I like them to beat Northwestern. I think Northwestern is terrible. I think that could be a win for Illinois for sure. But they're not beating Minnesota. I think you could switch Northwestern to Minnesota. Michigan State also not going to be very good. So I think that being a win is probably right. Nebraska being a loss on the road, correct. Rutgers could also be a win for Illinois. They're not supposed to be very good, and Illinois
they have some talent coming in.
Yeah,
I believe a couple 4-stars.
Yeah, they've got some guys coming in. It's just going to be whether or not they make a significant impact this season, and that's by the time the game comes around, we'll know. But I think for right now, I do think that 6 is kind of where I would put this Illinois team. I think I'd pick the over here. I like Illinois because they've got one of the best offensive lines in the Big Ten. Bar none, one of the best. So they're going to be able to protect the quarterback, and the run game should be healthy here. I think they have a chance to really be bowl eligible this season.
So you're giving them Rutgers and Northwestern?
Yeah, but I'm taking away Minnesota.
Okay. Yeah, I still have them 4. I don't think they're beating either of those teams. I'm going to have them 4 with a loss to Minnesota as well.
All right. Yeah, we can. Hey. It wouldn't be great if we didn't have some differences here. So you're picking the under 5.5. I got the over. So whoever you want to believe in, Illini fans, glass full, glass empty, we got both your takes here, and we got both justifications for either side. So,
yeah, but your floor is 4, and your floor is probably 3, and your ceiling's 6.
Yeah,
So
that's the ceiling.
nothing
Ceiling is
much to
6.
root for.
Yeah, ceiling is
You
6.
might get a bowl.
Yeah.
Could get a bowl.
Could get a bowl. Could get a bowl, baby. You know I love
Look
me
at the
some
bowl.
bowls. I love me some
You
bowls.
could get a bowl. You can get the some random fucking company. You can get the PBR shitface bowl.
That's right, the PBR bowl, baby. We're out there. It's gonna be rodeos at halftime. But yeah, I mean that would be that'd be a good sponsor for them. Indiana's next on the list here, same win total, 5.5. CBS going with the under here with Indiana. Every sports book has them at 5.5 as well. They've got them winning 5 games, period, just exact. They've got FIU, Western Illinois, Charlotte, Maryland, and Purdue as wins for the Hoosiers, with losses at UCLA, at Northwestern, Nebraska at home, Washington at home, on the road against Michigan State, home against Michigan, and on the road in the shoe against Ohio State. I think 5 wins is a little low for Indiana.
Wow.
I kind of think that here's the thing. I think Northwestern's terrible. So if you have them as a loss, it should be a win. And that's kind of where I am. I think this is a bowl eligible Indiana team. Congratulations. You're going to go to the Meineke Car Care Bowl, shoe polish extravaganza. Have fun.
I think this team's probably also 4 wins, maybe 5. I don't think they're beating Purdue. I could see them beating Northwestern. I could see them beating Michigan State. So I could see this team being 6, honestly, if like now that I'm looking at it. I'm taking away Purdue. I'm adding Northwestern, Michigan State. I'm going 6 and 6.
Yeah, I mean, this is
taking over.
I mean, look, the big question here is, this is another first-year head coach. And we've said it here, first-year head coaches, it's hit or miss whether or not they make an instant impact. And what Indiana's got at their disposal, I don't know how to say this last name. I'm probably going to, but Kurt Cignetti, I think that's how you say it. He's their new head coach. I don't really know where he came from. Don't know much about him. And I think that's kind of the same feeling CBS has. There's not a lot here that they give you about Indiana in this article. They just kind of say, look, we're picking the under, but this Indiana schedule has a lot of winnable games that are on the road. And to be honest, there are some games on here that are 50-50 games that we brought up that we think Indiana might actually beat these teams.
Yeah, I mean, this part of the Big Ten is really hard to predict.
It is.
Because they have obvious losses based on having to play some of the tougher teams in the country with the top of the Big Ten. But yeah, these like lower level teams, like Indiana, Illinois, both of these teams are just not fun to look at. They're not fun to predict because you never know anything about them.
Yeah, because they're never consistently relevant. That's the problem. They have to fight with the likes of Ohio State and Michigan and Wisconsin for years and years and years, and now you add USC, Washington, Oregon on top of that, along with UCLA. I mean, it's not going to get any better for you.
Yeah, but at least we have one of the more exciting teams coming up here with Iowa.
Yeah.
How are we feeling about Iowa's offense?
Look, Cade McNamara being the quarterback, former Michigan quarterback, got hurt last season, wasn't really able to contribute for any significant amount of time for the Hawkeyes, so we never really got to see kind of what his impact would be on this offense. I think recruiting-wise, they've kind of continued to stay on the same path. There's not a lot of excitement recruiting-wise for the Hawkeyes, but they are consistently getting those corn-fed boys and turning them into a very slow-moving but yet winning machine. They have them at 8 wins here, Zach, and I think most sports books have them, I believe, over that. No, they've got 2 at 7.5, 3 at 8, so the majority are 8, 3 out of 5. If you can get this at 7.5, Zach, that's probably a steal, right?
I would say so. If you can get it at 7.5, I have this team going 9. I think they can beat Minnesota. Actually, I think they're beating Michigan State. That's who I got them beating.
Yeah, this schedule looks pretty easy for Iowa. Illinois State win. Iowa State I have as a loss for them. Troy a win. Washington. People aren't very high on Washington coming into this season. They have Will Rogers as their quarterback this season, the transfer from Mississippi State. A lot of people don't really believe he's going to have as good of an offensive impact as Michael Penix did. Not that that's really a fair comparison, but I think that people expect the drop off offensively to be drastic for Washington, especially alongside a first-year head coach as well. Um, I just don't know if it's going to be bad enough to lose to Iowa. I know it's a home game for the Hawkeyes, but I think Washington's going to be one of those teams that's going to be better than whatever CBS has their win total at. So I'm going to take that as a loss as well for Iowa. Northwestern to win. Wisconsin, another one of those games that are kind of up in the air for me. Maryland on the road to win. Nebraska at home, probably a win. Depends on how good their freshman quarterback is. I know how you kind of feel about what you've seen in the video game. I haven't really seen anything IRL, but apparently EA Sports think he's going to be pretty good. So that might be a loss as well. Minnesota they have as a loss. Ohio State, Michigan State, and UCLA. All their losses, they have them on the road. You have them beating Michigan State. I agree with that. But I think this is probably just a flat 8-win team. I think 8's the ceiling, and I think 7 could be possible.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I see. I can see that. I could see 7 being possible as well, especially with Iowa State, like you said, and Washington. But final answer probably going 8-win team. Yeah.
Yeah. If you can,
I'm looking at
yeah.
replacing Minnesota, or looking at replacing Michigan State with Iowa State. I think that's probably fair.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm probably adding one more of those as a possible loss. But if you can find the line at 7.5, slam the over. I think that's kind of where you're at right here.
I don't even know about slam the over because I think you're right. They could lose to Washington as well. That would put them at 5. So I could see this. I probably wouldn't touch it.
I mean, no, yeah. This is one of those teams I would probably stay away from. Like if I had to gun to my head, I'm picking the over 7.5. If the line was 8, I'm probably picking the under. I don't see this being a 9-win team, to be brutally honest. But if they go 5-7, Zach, you gotta fire Ferentz, right? You gotta let him go.
Yeah. No, there's no excuse. You've had a team that has played no offense for years. It's time to it's time to score some touchdowns. As simple as that.
Yeah, you gotta score to win. That's the name of the game these days. So we'll see whether or not they can do that. Moving on to Maryland here. The line is 7 on CBS, but the sportsbook have it at 6.5 across the board, and CBS has them winning only 5, going 5-7 on the year. Of course, Tua Tagovailoa's brother still the quarterback. Do you think this is a kind of disservice to Maryland, or are they really just going to be bad again?
I mean, they're nothing exciting, and their schedule's kind of tough. So, I mean, yeah, I don't see them winning any more than probably. I think this is a 6-win team.
Yeah, Virginia's the one I'm looking at.
Yeah, well, Indiana as well. So I'm kind of confused on that, and I'm also kind of looking at UConn. I think UConn could beat them.
Maybe. I mean, Villanova definitely isn't. Northwestern definitely isn't. Rutgers, again, another win. Maryland over Rutgers. I'm telling you, Rutgers is bad. That's good news for Indiana. That's all I'm saying. Good news for Indiana. Rutgers looks like they're bad. But I mean, yeah, this is pretty straightforward. I think that Virginia, like if you swapped Virginia and UConn and maybe gave yourself Indiana, you could convince yourself this is 6. But I'm picking the under 7 for sure. 6.5, I might even pick the under there.
Yeah, I'm probably taking the under on both of those lines.
I mean, 6-6 is kind of where I'm thinking here.
Yeah, they just don't surround. How do you pronounce it?
Talia.
Talia.
Talia. Yeah, like I don't know. Talia Tagovailoa.
Yeah, they just don't surround him with talent.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah. I mean,
he's a good quarterback.
Yeah, I think he's good. I think the rest of the team stinks. And that's kind of where Maryland's at, and that's kind of where they've been the last 3 years, I think, or two, last two at least, as long as he's been there. Um,
Yeah.
and that leads us to your last year national champion Michigan Wolverines. 9 wins is the total for Michigan. Uh, they've got them going 10-2 here. Zach, what are your thoughts on Michigan after they lose some vital pieces the NFL draft? I have one sports book that has them at 8.5. The rest of them have them as 9 as well. What are your thoughts on the Wolverines?
The sports books are right. This is a 9-win team. They're losing to Texas. It's that simple. They're losing to Texas. They're losing to Oregon. They're losing to Ohio State. This isn't the team from last year. This is not the same team from last year by any means. They will be a good team, but they're not competing with Oregon. They're not competing with Ohio State. And frankly, they could compete with Texas, and I can see that being the one that flips. But this is a 9-win team for me. They're going to smash everybody else on their schedule. They get a rematch with Washington. That'll be an interesting game.
Yeah, only because it's on the road, though. I think Michigan's the better team there. But we'll see just how far of a step the offense takes back, because right now what people are really saying about Michigan is the defense is going to be the star, and their offense will be good enough to take advantage of their defense creating turnovers and stops. I don't think this is going to be where they were last year, where the offense, if the defense is struggling, can kind of take over, because that was kind of the case last year. You had situations where the defense wasn't particularly playing great, but McCarthy and Edwards and others were able to kind of step up and create some offense. And without Jim Harbaugh, we know what interim head coach turned now head coach was able to do in his absence. So I don't think there's a lot of distrust in the fan base with him. I think they're pretty hand in hand with what he's got going on. And I agree. I think this is a 9-3 team. It's a 9-3 team, and they're going to be on the outside looking in when it comes to the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, 100%. They're not making that championship game. They're going to be a decent team. I could see them getting a decent bowl.
Yeah.
I don't know what bowl they would get that isn't already a playoff game anymore. I don't know anything anymore.
It's the Outback Bowl, baby. Give me a bloomin' onion
Bowl.
now,
We're getting the
baby.
Pop-Tart Bowl.
Yeah. Which one's the one you're hanging out? You want the Pop-Tart Bowl? You really want it? I'm in.
The one that's in Hawaii.
Yeah. You want that one. You want. I think it's just called the Hawaii Bowl, right? I don't think it's. Is it Capital One Hawaii Bowl or something like I?
Who cares? We're not there to play football.
It's true. I'm there to surf, baby. Give me some spam. So yeah, I think that covers Michigan pretty well. Michigan State's the next on the list here. 5 wins is where CBS has the Michigan State Spartans. As I'm looking here on the sports books for that lovely Spartan logo, I think that's kind of where a majority of them have them as well. Yes, 5 across the board. I have 1 at 4.5. And CBS likes the over here. I have them at 6-6. Your thoughts?
That's disgusting because I have them at 4-8.
4-8. Yeah, I mean, I think you have to give them Florida Atlantic as a win, Prairie View A&M a win, Boston College a win. Iowa's a loss for me. I don't know why you have Michigan State beating Iowa. I don't see that happening. Indiana as well, probably a loss. Purdue and Rutgers, those are 50-50 games for me. A loss at Maryland, that's a win, so you could probably swap one of those. Ohio State a loss, Oregon a loss, Michigan. Illinois, maybe if you're lucky, but I'm going to say no on that one too. It's on the road.
Yeah, see, I have them only beating Florida Atlantic, Prairie View A&M, Boston College, and Purdue. I don't think they beat Iowa. I don't think they beat Indiana. I don't think they beat Rutgers. So, yeah, you're looking at here at a 4-8 team. I'm smashing the under on 5. That's 100% sure for me. I'm definitely not hitting the over. If you can find a 5.5, smash that under.
Yeah, if you can find a 5.5, smash the under. If you're going exact, I'm going exactly 5 for this team. This is a 5-7 team. No better, no less. I think that this is, you're not beating Indiana, you're not beating Iowa. I'll give you Rutgers, I'll give you Purdue. I'm not definitely sure as hell not giving you Maryland as a loss. I think you can beat them. But that's going to be a 50-50 game. They could be 4. They could be a 4-win team, but I think 5 is where it's at. I think 5 is the exact line, and I think it's right.
Yep, I'm going to stick with that. I like 5 as an exact win total just because, you expect them to get the one off, but look on paper, I'm looking at 4 and 8.
Okay. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I think having them at 6 is crazy. I think having that team at 6 is nuts. I think whoever wrote this is who's on crack. Let me see who's on crack for a second here. Tom Fornelli, you're on crack. Just letting you know, Tom Fornelli definitely on crack. Minnesota, next team on the list here, Zach. 5.5 win total for the Gophers, and they've got them at 5 here on CBS. They think they're picking the under 5.5 here. You say you know a little bit about Minnesota. Tell me if this is a line you agree or disagree with.
I mean, I just know that Minnesota's offense got a lot of new weapons this offseason, and I suspect them to be pretty heavy in the passing game this year. This is an 8-win team.
Whoa!
I think this is an 8-win team, and here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they lose to Michigan, they lose to USC, they lose to Penn State, they lose to Wisconsin. But they're going to pull off upsets against UCLA, Illinois, Rutgers. Those 3. And I think that they beat. Actually, I might go 7 and 5. I didn't see Iowa on there.
What about North Carolina?
I think they can beat North Carolina. I don't think North Carolina has anything special this season. Losing Drake May's heavy.
Yeah, you might be right. That's the beginning of the year game too.
Okay, I think I'm looking at 7 and 5 actually because I saw Iowa there. I didn't see them at first, so probably going 7 and 5.
Oof. All right, so win against North Carolina, Rhode Island, Nevada, and Maryland. There's 4. USC, UCLA.
I think they beat UCLA. I think they beat Illinois. I think they beat Rutgers.
Yeah, it's 7. Yeah, pick the over 5.5. I think you're right about this. I think Minnesota is one of those teams where 6 is probably where I'm at. I don't know if I really agree with USC being a win. I think Miller Moss might be okay. Enough to beat Minnesota. I don't know how much of a step USC has lost, but I don't think it's bad enough to lose to Minnesota on the road.
No, I don't think USC loses. I said UCLA loses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think USC is a loss for me for Minnesota.
Okay, never mind then. I mean, I'd say 6 and 6. One of these is not going to happen. 6 and 6. Give me, you know what? Give me North Carolina to beat them. I don't see it. I don't see it. I just don't.
There's a lot of questions with this team. Their defense isn't great, but their offense has the potential to be amazing this year.
New Hampshire transfer as their quarterback, amazing. About that.
They're not amazing, but it's more about talent they got, the skill positions. Yeah. They got some speed. They're Gophers. They're speed.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you're praying for Max Johnson to be good if you're a North Carolina fan is bad. Not great. Not great. I still think North Carolina's got more talent. 6 and 6. Give me 6 and 6. Over the 5.5 though. Not under the 5.5. We're both slamming the over 5.5. If you can find it lower, slam that. All the sports books have them at 5.5, so just slam the over on the Gophers.
All right, so now we got corn-fed boys.
That's right, Nebraska, baby. 7.5 wins is what CBS has Nebraska at. And they are picking the over 7.5 here on CBS, going 9-3 is what they've got.
They have them at 8.
8-4. Sorry, 8-4 is what they've got them at here on CBS. As far as what the sports books have Nebraska at, I think it's along the same lines as 7.5. I don't think it would be much different. I'm looking here. Yeah, 7.5 throughout. Your thoughts on the Corn people?
This is an 8-14 for me, but I'm thinking that they're losing to Wisconsin Ohio State, USC, and Iowa. That's how I feel about the team. I think that they beat UT El Paso probably pretty easy. I think they beat Colorado in a slugfest. It's a slugfest, but I think they can beat Colorado. And then I have them beating Northern Iowa, obviously. They can beat Illinois. They can beat Rutgers. They beat Indiana. They beat UCLA. But I think they lose to Wisconsin. But I think they can beat Purdue.
Yeah, I like 7.
You don't agree with Colorado?
I like 7 and 5 here. I think 7 and 5 is kind of what you're looking at here. I like the under. I think you lose to Ohio State, you lose to USC, you lose to Iowa, you lose to Colorado, and you lose to Wisconsin. If not Wisconsin, you lose on the road to Indiana. Those are the ones I'm looking at. 7 and 5. I think that's pretty good considering what they've got going on. 8's definitely the ceiling, though.
8 ceiling? So I think the ceiling could be 9.
Ceiling could be 9. I'll give you that. Ceiling 9, floor 7.
This one's split. This one's a split. I got the over. You got the under.
Yeah. So
that means stay away from it.
Yeah, stay away. Don't touch this is a bag of question marks when it comes to Nebraska. We just don't know. Overhyping Nebraska has become a tradition unlike any other. It's almost like the Masters. But I mean, it's people really like that freshman quarterback, but is that going to be enough to get them to 9 wins? I don't think so. 8 wins, you're going to need some help. Can they get help? I think that's the question. I think Colorado's the big thing. If you lose that game, I don't know where you are for the rest of the season. I don't know how you like. What do you feel if they lose to Colorado? Do you feel like it's tailspin time, or you think that it's just an early season loss? They can come back and still probably win most of the rest of their games.
Colorado's a talented team. They could go 9-3. They could go 4-8.
They're even worse.
I don't think you hang your head about losing to them too much.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a game changer.
Okay. All right, that's fair. I'll give you that. And that leads us to the last team we're going to cover for this episode, the Northwestern Wildcats. Yeah, Northwestern. Yes. Yes. Look, man, this is a 2-9 team. I'm just going to throw it out there. This is a 2-9 team. Line's at 4.5. Where do they have Northwestern in the grand scheme of things? I'll tell you right here. And it's not looking pretty for the Wildcats. They've got them at 4.5 across the board, 5 at one place. You can find this at 5. You slam the shit out of that under. This team stinks.
Yeah, I'm going 4. I don't think that they're going to beat Duke. This is kind of the win on that list that I'm obviously flipping to a loss for me is Duke. Yeah, I think that the only teams they beat on their schedule are going to be Miami of Ohio, Eastern Illinois, Indiana, and I don't even know if they beat Illinois, so I might go 3.
Yeah, I mean, dude, they're not beating Indiana or Illinois. They're going to just beat Miami of Ohio and Eastern Illinois. That's it. That is
so
it.
Basically, just don't hit the over.
Maybe Purdue. You can probably beat Purdue. They're not good. Purdue's not good. I mean,
just don't even look at that over. Just assume under, no matter what.
Because Purdue's got the same win total as this team, so that's a coin toss. I mean, the only fact they're giving them a loss against Purdue is it's on the road, and we know how that place is on the road, so I can understand it. I mean, but I 2-9, man, they're so bad. What?
2-10.
2-10, yeah, 2-10. Miami of Ohio and Eastern Illinois are it. If you can grab Indiana, that's going to be the one I can see. 3 is the ceiling. 3 is the ceiling.
All right. So 2-3. 2-3.
Yeah, it's just pick the. I mean, they've got them as the over. They've got them as a 5-win team here. Where are you finding 5 wins for Northwestern? I can't find you 5 wins here. You really think Indiana and Illinois are that bad? You have their win totals higher, and they're both home games for Northwestern. But since when does that matter? Who's going to Northwestern games?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. All right, so yeah, I mean, this is probably a 2 or 3 win team. Ceiling probably 4.
Yeah, but it's not nice. 5. There's no shot.
Definitely not 5.
Yes.
No shot at 5. Definitely not the over like CBS is thinking.
Yeah, I mean the only sports book that has it at 5 is MGM.
You might as well go ahead and put the under. Go ahead and
Yeah,
put that in.
slam it. If you can, if you got an MGM account, slam the under because this team stinks. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Um, Go ahead, Zach, and just kind of tell us of these teams that we've talked about so far. We've given some little extra credit. We've definitely undercut a lot of these teams. But who is one of the teams that you think out of the ones we talked about that will surprise people the most? Because again, this is not the best part of this conference. So which one of these teams could you see really stepping up? And be bold with it. Don't be conservative. I want you to really go out on a limb here and kind of give me a crazy team.
I think Nebraska could go 11-1. I think Nebraska realistically can go 11-1. I think that they're definitely not beating Ohio State, but I could see them beating all these other teams. I don't think they will, but I think that they could be an 11-1 team at the end of the season, and they could really surprise people and end up in that Big Ten championship with no divisions anymore, by the way. So yeah, I think the Cornhuskers can slide in for sure, but the interesting teams are obviously in the net staff.
Yeah, you don't want to miss that. And here's the thing, Zach. I'm going to agree with you.
We're going Nebraska. We're going Cornhuskers.
Ohio State as the only loss makes sense. If this team can be as good as if they go and blow out Colorado by 17 plus, if they win against Colorado by 17 or more, this is an 11-win team, and that's the ceiling. They could do it. That's a playoff team. Nebraska could be a playoff team, even if they lose the Big Ten championship game to Ohio State again, which they won't because they have to play Oregon. But I think that they could be a 2-loss team on the bottom half of those 12 teams going to the playoff. They're going to have to play in the first round. They're not going to get any buys, but they could do it. And the reason is if this freshman quarterback is as good as they say they are, and you finally have Matt Rule being able to get this team to kind of follow in the footsteps that he was very good at paving for Baylor, they can do it.
Yeah, it's Nebraska.
Ooh.
They're back.
I mean, I wanted to say Indiana, but I think Nebraska's. I think that they're the one team that if I had a gun to my head and they were like, which team is the most unreasonable, but also possibly the team? That's it. That's the answer.
All right.
All right. Anything
Perfect.
else you wanna say before we get out of here about this top half, or anything you just want to add in general?
How about them Huskers?
Yeah, how about them, brother? How about them corn people? For St0ner Sports Radio Studios back here, keep stick on the ice. We'll see you for the next half of the Big Ten, and it's going to be a good one. Don't want to miss it out. So follow us on YouTube. Follow us on the TikTok. We have videos up there and everything. Links are in the description. Zach, me, we'll see you next time.